Do not buy or sell another account on Nitro Type until you have watched this video. I have bought and sold many accounts on Nitro Type and I've never ever got scammed in my life by simply following a few simple principles and steps in order to make sure that a scammer cannot get the better of me. So I just want to give a bit of an introduction to this, and I think that buying and selling accounts is generally frowned upon by the Nitro Type community, right? Like, it's one of those things that you aren't really supposed to do, but everyone does it anyways. And I mean, everyone has either bought or sold an account on Nitro Type before. Even those who are the strongest advocates against account buying and selling have probably bought or sold an account themselves in the past. For example, Titanium Tendons bought an account for his new main when he gave away his old main. And there seems to be a dark web of traders who make hundreds of millions of dollars off of sales. Accounts like Mystic 360 will float around the NT account resale black market for months until someone finally settles on the account and makes sure it doesn't keep on going through all these transactions. And it's almost hilarious to think of a black market for Nitro Type accounts, but it is true, and transactions happen every day. And I know several people who've made hundreds of millions of dollars off of NT cash from this business. But it also seems that every other day another person is scammed out of their main account, or they lose $140 million because someone didn't actually give them the username and password to account. It pains me to think of the lack of truthfulness that scammers actually have. But their ways work, and they work quite effectively well, because you have scammers who are getting accounts daily. And to tell you the truth, way too many people are getting scammed who don't need to be. Most of them are probably under the age of 13 who probably haven't ever done a realistic transaction in their life. So how are they supposed to be doing one online? And scammers can easily manipulate these younger children. And think, for example, of Randora, who used to be a well-liked member of Nitro Type, only to scam and win hundreds of millions of dollars of NT cash out of users who were duped into believing this lie. Now, in this video, I really need to talk about these transactions, and if you follow my method, you will never be scammed again. Never be scammed again. Let's get into the video. So first of all, I want to talk about some principles, and I'm going to talk about steps when you're actually going through the act of a transaction. Now, the first principle is that if something is too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. People will rarely sell accounts that have a very large race count on them for Nitro Type cash. Most people would rather sell really good accounts for real life cash. And when they're attempting to sell large accounts, most likely they are scams. I've never really seen an account above $50,000 that has really legitimately been sold, if not for real life cash. The second principle is that do not buy an account that is currently linked to a Google or Facebook account. Now, how you can tell if this is true is if the username is a mess of numbers and letters and symbols and all that kind of stuff. I can show you an example of this username, but if that is the case, then it means that that account is linked to either a Facebook account or to a Google account. And that means that, therefore, their account is going to be linked to that Google or Facebook account. So even if you take the password out of the account, they're still going to be able to have that account linked to their Google or Facebook account, meaning that they can still recover the account after they have sold it to you. Meaning that you could have the possibility, and a very big possibility, of being scammed because you're put in their hands to decide what they want to do. For example, an email is just an easily removable link to an account, so once you have logged into an account, you can just remove whichever email is linked to it. But a Google account is going to be forever linked to that Nitro Type account, so you just need to be very careful and double check the username whenever you are deciding to purchase an account. The third principle is do not buy an account that is currently linked to a classroom, and this is a bit of a harder one to spot. If an account is linked to a classroom, someone cannot change the password once you have changed it. This is a common myth that has been floating around in Nitro Type. Some people, they still think you can change passwords through a teacher portal. You still can't. I've gotten confirmation from Corndog that you can't. However, they can still block you from using the account forever, and you do this by pausing the classroom. Check out the video that is showing up in the top right-hand corner if you want to learn more about the teacher portal. You can't tell if someone has linked an account to your teacher portal, so this one is a more difficult one to notice. You can, for example, you have the classroom page on Nitro Type, but you can choose to disable that too. So it's a very hard one to spot. You're going to have to trust whoever is selling the account to you, and this is just, I would say, one of the risks that you're going to have to go through if you want to start buying and selling accounts on Nitro Type. Okay, so now let's get into talking about the transaction. Now, step one for when you're doing the transaction is you need to verify that the seller of the account actually owns said account. Now, the easiest way you can do this is to provide a link to your friend's races track for your account, your current account that you're using, your main or whatever, and have them join your track with the account that you want to purchase. And then you can verify that, okay, they clicked on the link, they logged into the account, clicked on the link, this is obviously their account. If you're not sure, maybe they're like copying the same display name or they're using the same car, then simply go to the recents page on your friends list, which is being displayed right now, and make sure that the account that has joined the friends race with you has the same username, because it will pop up on that recent page. Now, step 2 is to check the history of an account. And it's possible that the account is being sold that is a past scammed account. Even if the person who's selling the account to you is a scammer, they could still be wanting to make the deal legitimately, but later the original owner could take the account back from you, and then they could do that. It's completely their right to, right? So you need to double check around maybe Discord, around Nitro to make sure that this is not a past scammed account. If it is, you could lose ownership of the account and the scammer will still get away with the cash, and it'll be a win-win situation for him. Step 3 is the most important part of the transaction. It doesn't matter if any of the above is already checked off, if you're already doing those things, this step is absolutely crucial. Let the other person do their side of the deal first. If they don't want to, the deal is off, because it's just way too risky. And it gets even more risky with the amount of money that you're dealing with. I've gone through many transactions so many times, and I've seen it happen so many times. Someone sends the cash and then the username and password aren't given. Or someone gives them the username and password, the account is taken, but the cash isn't sent. If you are buying an account, get the username and the password, log in, change the password, and unlink any email from the account, then immediately proceed to send the cash to whichever link the seller wants you to send it to. This way you can be viewed as truthful when you're doing this, but this way also you can guarantee that the transaction has gone through and that you're actually getting an account. Now in this situation, I would say that whenever I'm doing these transactions, I'll be like, look, I'm not going to scam you. I'm like a well-known YouTuber. I'm like the captain of like a Nitro type team, right? If I scam you, my reputation is going to be harmed. If you're not as well-known, this is going to be harder to do. But if they want you to do your part of the transaction first, it's just way too risky. Do not do it. Now, if everyone were to follow this principle, then obviously no transactions would ever happen. But I still think that not very many people are going to end up watching this video who are going through these transactions. I still hope so, but still you got to make sure that the other person is doing their end of the transaction first. Otherwise, you could still be scammed regardless of whether all the above that I've talked about is true. Now, I've bought and sold many accounts over the years. I've never gotten scammed in my life, even though most of the situations I've been in trying to buy accounts with well-known scammers. I was in this one situation where this one person wanted me to sell me a 50,000 race account for $20 million, and I asked him to simply join the friends race link on my track. He refused and then never talked to me again. And these kinds of situations can be easily avoidable. That guy who wanted me to sell me that account was very obviously a scammer, but I can prevent against it. Many other people would probably have just sent him the cash and would have got away, would have never been seen again. And this is one of the problems that I hope that this video can solve. Getting scammed is something that is absolutely preventable. Most of the people who've gotten scammed in their life, as I've said before, are kids who don't know how to run proper transactions in real life, so that's a big problem. But lots of times you have people who are like well-known members of the community who have like experience in this and they still get scammed. So I want to make sure that everyone follows these principles. Oftentimes when you're scammed out of an account, you've spent hours upon hours racing on the counter getting cash for it, and you've lost it. Lost in the time frame of 5 minutes. I hope that you enjoy this fairly lengthy yet potentially helpful video. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Go check out this other Nitro tips video and type on and type faster.